Hi, my name's Ryno, a self-proclaimed Paladin god in video games, and welcome to Every MMO Always Paladin, the series where I try to play every MMO and I always play Paladin. To kick off this series, I will be doing a little different format than I plan to do in future videos when I explore more obscure games. For this episode, I will be reviewing the highlights of my journey in hardcore WoW. Unfortunately, I did not record a lot of the gameplay, as I didn't plan on doing this originally. But I have screenshots. And I have some really good clips from the few times I recorded. In the future there will be a lot more live gameplay, but this lets me talk a lot more about this game, why I love it, and what I love about games. One last thing before we get to the screenshots. Across my couple dozen classic WoW and retail WoW characters, I have cleared that New Britain Elwyn Forest too many times to feel anything. So we will be skipping that part of our story. Just imagine me killing a bunch of level 5 mobs for a few hours. Live to win till you die! That brings us to our first screenshot of this journey. Every paladin knows Jordan Stillwell, creator of Varrigan's Fist, the best leveling weapon we will see on this entire journey of Auto Attack Simulator. As you can see, I have it, which meant I traveled the Eastern Kingdoms questing and clearing the Dead Mines, Shadowfang Keep, and even Black Fathom Deeps, which took me an hour to walk to. With this insane DPS upgrade, I was ready to beat up inmates at the stockades. Behold the Seal of Rin. For some reason my dumbass cropped the Discord background on this one cause I thought it made this seem more legit and not like I'm lying and finding screenshots online. Obtaining this ring is pivotal in every young gamer's journey because it ties up the first major questline you encounter as Alliance, and proves I exterminated the nasty law-breaking Defias. As a paladin, I hate lawbreakers. After that I decided to clear out the STD clinic known as Nomergan. A lot of scrubs and stoners avoid this place because it is easy to doze off and pull half the dungeon just by stepping too close to a ledge, but I feared not and destroyed the king of nuts, lug nuts to be exact. Sadly, he did not drop a lug nut from me, only this old guy's used ring. At this point I had cleared all of the early game dungeons, felt great, and was ready to push for level 40. This is my favorite part of leveling in classic WoW because normally you can spam Scarlet Monastery with a cleave group, but since this is hardcore you can only clear the dungeon once per day. Since the graveyard part of Scarlet Monastery is lower level and the cathedral part is higher, you can normally do a few runs over a few days hitting each spot a couple of times. There are some loot drops from here that I wanted to be sure I got, so I was prepared to run this dungeon as long as the game would let me. On my first run I won a BOE, which meant I am now rich. But also I knew that this hardcore run was seeded with good luck. In the middle of this dungeon grind for levels and loot, I hit 40, which in hardcore WoW means you're a man who can ride a horse. I wasn't going to let some My Little Pony arc take away my focus from obtaining the tastiest loot in the game though. So back to grind Scarlet Monastery until the loot I wanted drops. This awful angle does not do justice to just how good this weapon I got is. The Ravager Axe has a chance on hit to proc a whirlwind effect, damaging all enemies around you. It is incredibly badass and built for gambling addicts because if it doesn't proc and you pull 10 mobs, which I often did once I got this axe, your healer will rip aggro faster than a DPS on Horde without Blessing of Salvation. Alliance members also have access to the Fiery Blaze enchant, which makes the Ravager Axe proc way more often and does way more damage, so I got that out of the way. I just had to kill a small family of whelps in Badlands and extract one of their hearts. Worth it. I still had a few armor upgrades from the armory wing, so I used a few lockouts over the next few days to try my luck. In the meantime I upgraded to plate armor so I could be a true tank, and even found a green POW that redditors will claim is the best paladin weapon, but it is not as cool looking as the Ravager Axe, so I disagree. I decided to do one last run of SM at level 43 because of how much I love this place. I always try to juice this place for all the XP I can, but even across my hundreds of runs, I have never gotten the Scarlet Crusade tabard. As I was heading out of armory I saw someone type G's in chat and thought how annoying it was that someone else got the tabard even though I deserved it. Then I saw it. I cannot tell you how happy I was to have finally gotten this tabard, and on my hardcore paladin, it was meant to be. I am so good at this game. Remember though, hardcore WoW is all about the journey and those you meet along the way. Let's take a moment to applaud those who helped make this a reality. Okay, back to the main character. Next on my to-do list was clear out Older Man. I got this ring that is good, but nothing will compare to the dopamine rush of getting my tabard. Okay, maybe another blue bow comes close, but I still have not sold that stupid mace. Using the momentum from that tabard drop, I got myself into Zul'Farrak to commit hate crimes against the trolls and squash some bugs. There was some alright loot here, but I ran this place because it is an XP factory. We interrupt this broadcast for a Pick Goes Hard intermission. Now back to your scheduled programming. After running Zul'Farrak once a day for over a week, I was finally ready to start the last leg of this race to 60. But first, I had to keep the city of Stormwind safe. This high-level sewer beast could chomp down some low-level noob in one bite if they were not careful. Listen to how fast I am typing to alert the townsfolk. So I found a hunter to tame the rare creature, hit the bank to get my healing gear, and combat began. This other paladin tanking didn't really know what to do. He kept running away to get out of the water and didn't know you could jump out right where we were standing. Luckily we were all high enough level this was mostly a joke, but the hunter, being a noob, was a little scared. He finally got out of the water though. Surprisingly, the sewer beast couldn't use his little arms to wedge himself out of Stormwind's sewage river, so he started chasing someone else. The hunter, who wound up resetting the mob. We reviewed our game plan, and while I showed the hunter the fast way out to safety, he jumped in like Leroy Jenkins, so I did what every dress-wearing paladin does. Cast 1 million flash of light spells. While I was busy being a Giga Chad healer, the hunter's tame pet was resisted. After a long hard battle leaving us with minimal resources left, the sewer beast finally took the cookie our hunter tried to give it. I took my last chance to flex my parkour skills. And we took a group photo. I tucked the photo into my pocket to remind me why I am fighting as I trekked onto my final leg of my adventure. This is where I spent almost 100% of my time going from level 50 to 60. Western Plaguelands. Now I know this is not the best spot to level, but as a paladin it is not bad since I can cast exorcism on these guys and even get some rep grinding out of the way. Oh yeah, and world drops. Twice. The Blood Razor actually dropped the day I got back from driving across the country for my grandfather's funeral, and it was nice to have my luck swing the other way for a change. I sold my loot for a fancy new sword known as Destiny. Did one BRD run and lost another world drop. But it is okay because I was about to finish my journey to 60 in hardcore WoW. Enjoy some in-game RP. So I did it. I beat the goal I set out to accomplish in hardcore WoW, but I wanted to prove my strength to Reynaros. To do this I had to farm all new gear to heal because nobody is taking a Paladin tank to their Molten Core run. So I took out a small loan to buy my best in slot healing cape, Height of the Wild. That and some other upgrades from the auction house, and I was ready to run some level 60 dungeons. First up, Scarlet, a scary dungeon in hardcore for many reasons. Rest in peace Gorfindel, the first level 60 I watched die. First off, no, I was not healing, I was a DPS this run, thank God. If you don't know, there is a boss in Scarlet that hits very hard, even on tanks, and he has a threat drop mechanic that most DPS will need to run from, or use a limited invulnerability potion to avoid his damage. Gorfindel did not do that. Don't be like Gorfindel. At some point between all my level 60 dungeons I repaid my debts from my Height of the Wild loan. Evidence. Got nearly all my pre-raid best in slot items. Got my world buffs. I cleared the 20-man raids that text-to-speech will explode trying to sound out, and got so much loot funneled to me because I can wear a dress or plate armor. After 2 20-man lockouts I was finally ready to step into Molten Core. I won a piece of tier loot to officially become a Paladin raider. At this point I have done it all besides the attunement for Onyxia's lair. I spent some time on the prerequisite quests, killed a few world bosses with my guild, and decided to tank a BRD attunement run. You might notice there is not much time left in the video, so let me say BRD is my favorite dungeon in all of World of Warcraft. Okay, now that I have said that, just run the clip. Notice the phenomenal positioning for this fight. The Paladin tank is holding aggro without a taunt ability, but the Paladin tank is also getting hit with a lot of spell damage. And the Paladin tank is not getting healed by anyone. Everyone else got out safely. So what happened? Clearly a misplay by our healer, who admitted to accidentally not clicking a target to heal, which wound up healing themselves over and over again. But I hold no hard feelings towards them as accidents happen. There is also something to be said about my own gameplay here as a Paladin tank. I died without using my lay on hands, divine protection, or even a health pot. I did try to use a health pot, but I had a health stone bound to the hotkey I used my health pot on because the night before during raid I had a lock cookie but forgot to swap my keybinds prior to gaming that day. Ultimately what I blame my death on is myself and becoming complacent in hardcore WoW. Don't get complacent in hardcore WoW. Don't be like Rynotanks. Seriously. Thank you all for listening to the story of Rynotanks to kick off the first episode of every MMO I Always Paladin, the series where I try to play every MMO and always play as a Paladin. Make sure to leave a comment below for what MMO I should master the Paladin class on next. Bye.